Greetings, guys, girls, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Today, I wanted to talk about someone that I haven't talked about in a really long time. And that person is, of course, Candace Owens. If you don't know who Candace Owens is, she is a person who works at the Daily Wire because, of course, she is. Who obviously just says everything against her own best interest. She has been known to wear White Lives Matter t-shirts. She is very vocally just anti-feminism, anti-Black Lives Matter, anti-everything that is good, really. That's Candace Owens. And she came up on my For You page on my work phone the other day. This is how I find a lot of my video topics at this point, is I just open TikTok on my work phone and there's a video idea right there. So yeah, I was going through her TikTok and I was just like, oh my God, this is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And so naturally, I am here to make a video about it. But before we get into it, I would like to say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Chris. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you enjoy this video. Yeah, so let's have a look at some of her TikToks and some of the things that she loves to say.
Women are broken today. There is not good guidance for women. Men are broken too, but I would argue that women are much more broken than men are. And it's because we have become so dominant in the cultural conversation, which is to say that our voices must be heard first and more, or else the patriarchy. But the advice that those dominant voices are giving are backwards, and it's wrong. If you are taking your clothes off for attention, something is wrong with you on the inside. You need to fix that on the inside, okay? You have to cultivate a healthy interior life. You are never going to get anything from the exterior life that is going to be able to fulfill you on the inside. And I mean that. I hope every single person that thinks that being naked on the internet is a form of spiritual fulfillment, I hope that they find God. And let me tell you, he is not on Instagram.
I find it so interesting that she's like, women speak up that their voices matter. But they're just posting photos naked online. That's such an strange conclusion to come to. Like the implication that the only thing women talk about and women care about is being able to post nude photos online. Like, Candace, you are a woman. You want your voice to be heard. Your entire career is you talking about politics and you using your voice as a woman. So coming out and saying that all women speak about being naked online, that's all they want, is just so preposterous. That's so ridiculous. What a ridiculous thing to say. Sure, that is one thing that some women do, and also some men do, by the way. Everyone of all different genders post provocative photos online. You just only have a problem with it when it's women because you think women have to be modest and exist modestly. But regardless, that is okay. I don't think there's a problem with women posting photos online to earn money. I don't think there's a problem for women doing OnlyFans and other sexual things in order to make money, because that is using a system that was built against us to benefit us, you know? If you're gonna get mad at it, get mad at the people who consume it. If you want there to stop being porn, you have to stop people from watching porn first. When there is demand, there is supply. And if people aren't doing it by choice, they're going to be forced to be doing it. So it is absolutely better for people to be choosing to make OnlyFans accounts, for them to be choosing to do this, and for setting their own schedules and doing things on their own terms, than it is for women to be being exploited by big companies who are being forced into it, who have to do it for money. And that does still happen. Unfortunately, that is still a really big problem, and a lot of people go into it because they need money and it isn't a way to make money when you need it. But there are also people who are doing it because it's something that they do find empowering and they do enjoy doing, and those are the type of people that we need to support. If you're going to be watching and consuming that stuff, you have to go to those people, because where there is demand, there will be supply. And if people aren't doing it ethically, there's going to be more of it done unethically, you know? So it's good that people are feeling empowered about it. Prostitution is the oldest job ever. And I know this is a separate thing, but in terms of it, like sex work is like the oldest job ever. It's been happening for forever. The idea that you're like, this has never happened before. We're at a time in bullshit. Bullshit. There have always been sex workers. Always. Throughout all of human history, there have been sex workers. So sit down and stop pretending this is something that's just new and out of nowhere. You just see it more because the internet exists, but it's always been there.
A friend of mine, Paul Joseph Watson, has a YouTube channel, and he spoke about this concept of hoflation, ho plus inflation, where when your grandparents, or rather your grandfather, was growing up, he had to do less work to find him a high quality woman, a woman that wanted to stay in the home, a woman that dressed conservatively, a woman that wanted to raise the children, a woman who did not want to be out sleeping with tons of men or putting her naked body on the, of course, then non-existent internet, right? Wanting people to see her naked. Now he's saying men have to work harder to find those same women. So they call this concept hoflation. And you are seeing it in this environment as you speak to these women and they talk about how the money that they get is a justification for this lifestyle. And they speak down about men. They have this fundamental hatred of men, or rather a lack of understanding of what a quality man even is and where to find him.
This is, again, one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Implying that all women are existing in this like provocative way. Implying that all women go out and just sleep with a bunch of men. All women are posting photos of themselves online. All women are blah, blah, blah. Like, one, it doesn't matter if that were true. But two, that is not even true. That's so far from the truth. This whole wild way that so many of you have managed to paint women on the internet is ridiculous. Men on average still have a higher body count. I don't see you talking about that. Do you have a problem with men going out and sleeping with random women? No? Like the average amount of sexual partners in the US is for women, it's 4. And for men, it's 6. Like, those aren't big numbers either. Like, acting like women go out and sleep with 100 guys. That is very, very rare. It's very rare. That is not a majority of people. And even if it were, why does it fucking matter how many people someone is sleeping with? If a man has a problem with that, and a man comes in and has an issue with how many people a woman has slept with, that's his own fault. That's his own problem. Why does it matter? Who fucking cares how many people someone has slept with? It literally doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. And like, it's not a very big industry either. Like OnlyFans, sex work, it's not a massive industry. It is nowhere near a majority of women being a part of it. Like, stop implying that. Come on, don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. And also, like, saying that men have to work harder to get good women and women don't, like, aren't submissive anymore. They don't accept everything. Like, we don't have to anymore. That's why. You know? Back then, men could easily get a woman without having to try so hard because we didn't really have much of a fucking choice. We weren't making our own money. We couldn't make our own money, you know? We had to have a man to depend on. So you had to kind of accept what happened. You know, it was legal to beat your wives. People were abusing their wives constantly. And although abuse is still a big issue, it's not to the degree that it was, you know, because people don't have to tolerate that anymore. Women don't have to put up with that as much, right? It's easier to leave now. We don't need to rely on men. I don't have to force myself to be submissive. I don't have to force myself to be appealing to men because I can survive just fine, if not better, without a man. Because on average, unmarried women are happier than married women, and married men are happier than unmarried men because men like relying on women. But at this point in time, women work much harder than men do because women do all of the housework or a majority of the housework and the childcare, and they have a job. Men just do their job and expect women to look after them and still do their jobs too. Like, why would they do that? Why would we do that? Why would we have to do all the same work that a man does and then extra because it's expected of us? Like, no. No, I'm not gonna fucking do that. We don't have to do that. We don't have to tolerate men treating us like shit anymore. That's why men have to work harder to deserve a woman because they don't fucking deserve us, you know? Like, just making money isn't good enough. That doesn't mean you deserve anything. Good for you, you can support yourself. I can support myself too. And I also can cook. I can look after the house. I can look after myself. I can have a social life. I can do all of that. What are you doing? What are you bringing to the table? Are you going to cook? Are you going to clean? Are you going to love me and show me affection? Because if you don't do any of those things, why would I be with you? Why would I tolerate that? I bring a lot to the table. What do you bring to the table? You know, like men have to work harder. That just means they have to do more than nothing, really. Men have to do more than just have a job in order to get a wife now. Fucking deal with it, bro. That is how it is. You're right. But I have to work harder too. So, like, get over it. Just be a more worthy partner and maybe you'll find one.
Over the last maybe more than 10 years, we have been existing under a rabid matriarchy where women think that we are the ones that get to define what is and is not masculinity, that if we keep shrieking loudly about what a man should be, somebody maybe tail in between the legs listens to our every barking order, that society will be able to function. No, far from that. In fact, this toxic matriarchy that we are existing in is a bit like hell on earth right now, right? As I said to Andrew Tate in that interview, it is because Lena Dunham existed that Andrew Tate exists today, because men were told that they were nothing, because men are routinely having that narrative reinforced to them by the mainstream media and culture, because so many women rap about and sing about how bad men are, because they make a mockery of relationships, because we talk about feminism, toxic brand of feminism that really is about mocking men and making them feel badly.
Saying we live in a matriarchy is absolutely hilarious. You want to say we live in a matriarchy, Candace? Provide me one piece of evidence that says we live in a matriarchy. Just one, just any piece of evidence. Because according to my research and the actual real world we live in a total of 141 countries, there are only three in 141 countries that have women make up 50% or more of their local governments. 3 out of 141 only have half women. And only 22 more have 40%. So out of 141 countries, there are 25 that have at least 40% of their local government being made up of women. 25 out of 141 have 40%. There are only 13 countries that have at least 50% women leading cabinets. And most of those cabinets center around social issues. So the cabinets for women and gender equality, for family and children affairs, social inclusion, and Indigenous and minority affairs. And then, on top of that, only 10% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. So 50 out of 500 Fortune 500 CEOs are women. Only 33% of all millionaires are women. Only 12% of all billionaires are women, and 45% of those 12% inherited that wealth. So saying that we live in a matriarchy is absolutely delusional when the world is literally run by men. It is designed for men. It is built by men. Men are in charge of fucking everything. And you want to say we live in a matriarchy? Get your head out of your ass, Candace. Stop lying. You know that's a fucking lie. Don't even try to pretend. Saying that we bring men down, that we're telling them they're disgusting and disgraceful and blah, blah, blah. There was a boy who stabbed a girl yesterday because she said no to him. A 15-year-old girl got murdered by a 17-year-old boy while on her way to school because she didn't want to accept flowers from him. She fucking died because this boy couldn't take rejection. Because they don't view women as people. And that's because of people like Andrew Tate, who you seem to really care about and find has good points. You are actively hurting young women, girls, women in general. You are actively contributing to hurting us. And you don't seem to have a problem with it because we're hurting men. How are we hurting men by telling them to take accountability? How are we hurting men by telling them that it is okay to feel their feelings and express their emotions? How are we harming men by saying they are allowed to show feminine traits? They are allowed to be masculine. They are allowed to be feminine. Those don't mean anything. You can express yourself however you want. You can be soft and vulnerable. And you can also be strong, and those things aren't mutually exclusive. Being vulnerable and being strong can exist together. In fact, I would say that being vulnerable shows strength, you know? The masculinity is not inherently toxic. No one is saying that being masculine is toxic. It's when you take masculinity too far that it becomes toxic. When you feel so insecure within your masculinity that you take that out on women who reject you, that is toxic masculinity. When you feel entitled to the admiration and adoration of women, that is toxic masculinity. When you feel you have to prove your strength by hurting someone who is smaller than you, that is toxic masculinity. Going to the gym, working out, wearing a suit and tie, doing all, like playing sports, doing all of this masculine shit, that is fine. That is fine. No one has a problem with that. You are allowed to be masculine. That's fine. What we're saying is that you can't have a problem with femininity. You are allowed to also be feminine. You can fall anywhere on that spectrum. You can pull things from everywhere all across it. You can be whoever you want. We are not forcing our gender ideas on anyone. You are doing that. And then you assume we are doing the same. You care so much. You force what your idea of what a man should be so hard that you project and you think we are doing the same. You think that we are taking the opposite of you and forcing that on everyone because that is what you do. That is not what we are doing. That is you just projecting so hard. And that says way more about you than it does about us. Saying you are allowed to be who you want to be, just don't hurt people. That is all we're saying. You are the one forcing people into boxes. You are the one forcing things on people and trying to make people into people they are not. You are the cause of toxic masculinity because you tell men they have to be something they're not. Some men don't want to be masculine and then they're being told they have to be and they force that and that becomes toxic because it doesn't feel like what they want to do and they take it out on people and that is because of you. We do not live in a matriarchy. We are not telling men they have to be anything. We are telling everyone they can be anything. You can be anything. Just don't hurt people. And that includes yourself.
We are living in a world that is increasingly anti-man. While we are pretending that women are suffering under the foot of the patriarchy, what's actually happening is that toxic feminism has risen to the top and is actually oppressing men with movements that make entirely no sense. It's why I was so outspoken against the Me Too movement, where men were being condemned for absolutely no reason. We covered recently on the show examples of toxic feminism. The young lady, Jonah Hill's ex-girlfriend, 25-year-old, who saw that he was happy and in a relationship and decided to leak personal text messages where he very politely conveyed to her what he was looking for in a relationship and that she wasn't it because she likes to post naked photos online and he wants somebody that is in spirit more conservative, right? And he found that person. That is an example of toxic femininity, trying to ruin somebody's career because you weren't what they wanted and trying to make it seem as though, as she tried to characterize his messages, he's an emotional abuser. No, he just doesn't want to date you.
Telling men to take accountability for their actions isn't trying to destroy their career. That's telling men to take accountability for their actions. If a man's actions have directly hurt me and my career and my life, I think it is within my right to speak about that. You know, like, why do I have to accept that my life is fucked? That this man has completely destroyed my livelihood, my career, my well-being, my life. And I have to just sit by and watch him be successful? No. You know? Like, people aren't doing Me Too to come and just, like, hurt men. People are doing the Me Too movement because men have gone so long without facing consequences. And it's about coming together and helping each other receive justice, have our voices be heard, because they are so often shut down. And even with the Me Too movement, even with all this talking about it, fuck all ever happens anyway. That's the problem. That's why we need to come together and have movements like this, right? Because the point is that most women, unfortunately, have experienced this at some point in their life. I've gone through 10 years of just dealing with shit. And the consequences? For him? Nothing. Nothing. I spend years in therapy. I spend thousands of pounds. I spend days, hours, my life has been completely thrown because of the actions of a man. And nothing, right? Like, how is that fair, you know? And your example of using Jonah Hill just like politely expressing what he wants in a woman. He's not abusing you. He just doesn't want to date you. Then why didn't he just break up with her? He wanted to change her, right? He didn't not want to date her. He wanted to date her, but he wanted to have her change and conform to his ideas of what a woman should be. He wanted her to submit to him, and he wanted to be the person that broke her. That's the difference. If he wants to date someone who doesn't post, not naked photos, by the way, photos just in a bikini because she's a fucking surfer. If he doesn't want to date someone who is a surfer, you know, he doesn't want to date someone who posts photos online, then he would find someone else. He would have broken up with her and he would have found someone else. He went into this relationship knowing her job, knowing what she posted online. He was chill with it, but he wanted to go into that and he wanted to break her and change who she is because that makes him feel powerful. Why else would he have gone into that relationship? Why else would he have sent that message listing out what he wanted from her instead of just breaking up with her? And this wasn't the first time. She opened up and said that he had made her delete posts all the time. He had made her change the way she acted at work and the way she was around people. He monitored her. He was actively trying to control her. That is emotional abuse. He was trying to break her as a person. That is the difference. If he has found someone now who fits to what his idea of a woman is, then that's a different thing, isn't it? If he's dating a conservative woman and they have this like agreement that, you know, like she doesn't post provocative photos online, that she's never done that, whatever, and they fit together, fine. I still don't think he's a great person, obviously, and I'm still worried for this woman if he doesn't have an issue manipulating people and trying to break them. But that is different to trying to change someone to fit to your ideals. Just date someone who already fits to your ideals. That's the problem, Candace. That's the problem. He's not an abuser. He just didn't want to date you. Then why was he dating her? It's not hard to understand.
I am so serious when I say that America has gotten soft on mental illness. I talk about this every day on this show. I show you what people are doing on TikTok for views. I show you what individuals are pretending to be, what they are saying. I mean, it's anything for attention. And rather than us saying that we need to address this seriously, you have politicians and the media that are telling you that you need to feel more and more compassion for these people. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to feel less and less compassion for these individuals. I feel no compassion whatsoever for Jordan Neely. Let's make that clear. And some of you guys are watching this and you're going to say, well, of course, Candace always feels no compassion for him because he's a black man and she never defends black men. No, I never defend black criminals and I never defend white criminals. I have this thing. It's crazy. I just don't defend criminals. I know it's wild. I just don't come out here out of the gates and feel compassion and emotion for people that are spreading harm in our society.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Jordan Neely wasn't a criminal. He wasn't a criminal. He didn't have a criminal history. He was homeless, but that's not a crime. That's him being a victim of the system. He was just asking for money, you know, and he was frustrated because of course he was fucking frustrated. And someone pinned him to the ground and choked him, not until he was unconscious, until he was fucking dead. And you don't have any compassion for him? Even if he was a criminal, that is not deserved. It is not for anyone to decide to take someone's life or not. That's playing God. You don't get to choose to do that. You say that you don't defend criminals, but you don't feel bad for an innocent man being murdered. So therefore you are defending the actual criminal, the person who murdered him. You are defending a criminal. You are defending someone who decided that it was within their right to take the life of someone else. And you think that's okay? That is defending a criminal. There was no need to do that. There was no need to pin him down and choke him in the first place. But if he was going to do that, he didn't have to do it until he was dead. He didn't have to do that. He knew when he was unconscious and he could have stopped and he didn't. And the fact that you feel no compassion for him is concerning. That's incredibly fucked up. No one deserves their life taken for fucking nothing, you know? I talking about the death penalty is another story. I am very anti the death penalty. That's not something I believe we should be doing. But that's beside the point. This is a completely different thing. The fact that you don't feel sympathy for that is scary, honestly. And I think that you should care about people's mental health. The fact saying like we've gone soft on mental illness, like we should be compassionate towards people who have mental illness. We should be providing support for people. If you want to be harsh and have less compassion for people with mental illness, you are not helping the problem. We need better support systems. You're like, people are talking about it online more. There are more mentally ill people. They're all making it up. Or maybe we live in a time where shit is so fucked that people aren't doing well. We don't have time to enjoy things anymore. We don't have time to do anything other than survive. You can work 2 full-time jobs and barely be able to eat, right? Like we live in a time where we have no free time, no time to ourselves. You're told that every hobby you have, you should be trying to make money off of. We're not allowed to enjoy things. We're not allowed to do things. It's not a fun time to be existing. The fucking planet is dying. We're all being worked to the bone. Like, obviously, there's a lot of mental illness. And there's not very much help. Especially in the US with how expensive medical care is. You think people can afford to get treated for their mental illness? And mental health care everywhere is very expensive. It's not included under universal health care. If it is, it's very hard to come by. It's expensive. You know, I spend so much of my income on therapy. And it sucks, and we shouldn't have to do that. We should be able to get support, and we can't. And like, people do commit crimes when they're in situations where, you know, they can't afford to eat. People can't get jobs. People can't make money. That means they can't eat. They can't live. They can't do anything. People are going to do shit to get money. If you had the correct social systems in place, there would be a lot less crime. And there would also probably be a lot less mental illness too. Like, have compassion. You just don't want to give up what you have. And here's the thing, Candace, is you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You're not part of the group that we're saying even has to do more. You know, whenever you talk about like tax the rich or whatever, all these like upper middle class people are like, no, don't do that. You're taking my hard-earned money. We're not talking to you. We actually want to tax most people less. You know, you think that you're under attack. You are not the rich people we're talking about. You're not the rich people we're talking about. We're talking about the millionaires. We're talking about the billionaires. We could take all tax away from everyone else. You know, we could take all tax away from anyone who makes under even fucking $1 million a year. We could take all of that tax away and have enough money if we just tax the billionaires. Imagine how much we could do and how good people's lives could be if we just put a cap on how much money you can earn, right? Let's say, people like to say $1 billion because people like to be billionaires and have that label. So let's say put a cap on $1 billion. We could do it much less. We could go for 100 million, probably less than that. But let's say $1 billion. We'll put a cap. You can't earn more than $1 billion. So you, a billionaire, that's already infinite money. But right, let's say you have $1 billion. All the money you have over $1 billion goes into welfare. It goes into ending hunger. It goes into homelessness. It goes into housing. All of that stuff. That's the same thing. It goes into food. It goes into housing. It goes into medical care. It goes into anything all over the world, right? So we take all of that excess over $1 billion and it goes into helping people, right? That's already hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars. And then from there, you don't need to tax people anymore. You don't even have to do that. You know, if we're going to be continuing to live under capitalism in this world that I'm talking about, you don't have to tax people anymore. And then every time that person like spends money, when they earn money back, which happens literally instantly, and it hits $1 billion, they can just keep going up to $1 billion. You take the money away from above $1 billion, right? So if they spent $10 million, the next $10 million they earn, they'll get. And then if they earned $30 million, the extra $20 million goes back. You know? It's not a difficult way to figure it out. It's just ridiculous to me. And I know distributing the wealth doesn't really, like, it doesn't fix the problem. That's not, like, my main goal. I am a socialist. I do believe in socialism. It's a start, you know? like if we're gonna do anything that would make a difference, that would help. And, like, Candace, you're not a victim of that. As much as you would like to think that you have all the money in the world or that you were even capable of being a billionaire. You're not. You don't. We could take tax away from you too. Wouldn't you like that? You're very you hate that the government takes your money and spends your money. Fine. What if you didn't have to do that anymore? Tax the billionaires. You don't have to be taxed anymore. You're fucking solved. I don't know why we're not all in on the same page. I don't understand how you can be so against that. You're taking the money of hardworking Americans. These billionaires aren't doing shit. They're not doing any work. They're not fucking doing anything. We're not taking the money of hardworking people. We're taking the money of people who are exploiting people. That's what we're doing. That's what we want to do. Okay? Fucking hell. Anyway, I don't even remember what the TikTok was about anymore. I don't even remember what was the TikTok about? What was, I don't remember. Oh, we were talking about mental illness. Okay. Anyway, mental health care should be more accessible and more affordable. Capitalism is fucking shit and it's ruining literally everything. The system is fucked. It's all fucked. Everything is fucked, you know? And it's hard to enjoy things when we live in a society like the one we currently do. Yeah. Anyway, I've been here for a while ranting about this and I'm really hungry. So I'm going to go have lunch and then get ready to go to the Asper concert. So I'm going to go do that and I will see you all next time. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Over 60% of you are regular viewers but are not subscribed. So do check to make sure you are because sometimes you think you are and you aren't. So I appreciate that. A massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Harry, Bobby, Sparrow, Josh, Mandy, Ikazel, Jessica, Eldo, Danielle, Anoli Like Cannoli, Elias, Apollo, Taylor's Trying, Boston, Chris, and Amelia. I love and appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, go to patreon.com/SavvyCat. Click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, as well as podcasts a week early. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, vlogs, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.